Okay, so hey guys, I'm Sithking.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at RWBY Season 3.
Yeah,
which delivers quite a gut punch there at the end.
Look, I saw this a week ago, and I'm still a little emotionally compromised. Fuck! Okay, so, one of the things we complained about last time was how everything's kind of seems to just drop back into the status quo once things had happened. Sure, they went out and fought a giant robot in the streets, but then they were back at school the next day,
Yeah, the train smashed through and released a bunch of Grimm, but then we just killed them all in this big old battle scene, which was a big battle scene, but didn't quite have heart to it, at the end of Season 2.
Plus, it didn't really seem to have... I don't know about you guys, but, maybe when something is an imminent threat to all life on the planet, we shouldn't be able to contain it with, 12 kids.
Well, guess what happens at the end of Season 3? We don't contain it with, 12 kids.
Yeah, that's also part of the problem. Okay, you might want to turn back right now if you want to watch Season 3 at any point in the future, because there's going to be spoilers. Really big ones.
Yes, and you were spoiled by somebody you knew online.
Yeah,
just casually mentioned this stuff, and I was like, no, why did he mention that?
Fuck you douche canoe. I'm not even mentioning his name. He's just, fuck him.
Yeah.
Or her,
Whoever it is, we don't know.
Yeah, fuck them. Okay, I'm going to be giving you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Everybody gets screwed up.
Everyone dies, gets maimed, or is on fire.
Kind of.
I like how I basically said that we're all fucked, and your reaction to that is, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Usually when I say this shit, it's for hyperbole, but no, okay. So what I was most concerned about, first and foremost, the season starts with them at the Vital tournament.
The tournament.
Yeah, and I don't trust tournaments in anime or anime-type shows. Because here's what it is. It's when the creators say, this is our excuse to show characters showing off. Mm-hmm. We don't have to write a plot because it's basically fight the next guy and so you'll get closer to the prize.
Yeah. And
ultimately, it's all up to the discretion of the person in charge of the show who wins. There's no... if we're watching football, it's not rigged. Okay, it shouldn't be rigged. But
whether or not it is, we will not
anytime that you see a tournament in anime, it's rigged.
It's by the writers, yeah.
It's either going to be the hero triumphantly conquers, or it's going to be they fail, and then that's the season over. They have to go back and learn more next time.
Or they get interrupted by terrorists in Korra Season 2, which is a little different.
Okay, yes.
Season 1. Was it 1 or 2? I forget.
1. It was 1.
That was 1.
Example of this. In Naruto, there was a tournament that went on. It was the Chunin exams, but it's essentially the same thing. Naruto won a match he was hopelessly outclassed for because the opponent had a strong sense of smell and he farted. Lord have mercy. Sadly, that wasn't even the reason why I stopped watching Naruto.
I was never really into Naruto. I think it passed by me when I was...
I just wanted... It's one of those animes that's just so present in the culture that you kind of want to know at least the bare bones basics.
It's kind of me in One Piece right there, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But the most egregious example of a tournament gone horribly wrong would be Pokemon. Now, it's pretty much a thing that Ash wins all his gym battles, and then he goes up to the tournament, and then he loses eventually. What really opened my eyes to how bullshit this is I think the Sinnoh tournament, where, granted, I had stopped watching Pokemon years before, but someone told me about this, and I checked it out. It was utter bullshit. Ash, there was this character who comes right the hell out of nowhere. His name is Tobias, I think? But anyways, so he comes in, pretty much for the sole purpose of saying, no, Ash loses so he doesn't become a Pokemon master, and we continue it on for another season or whatever. We only see 2 of his Pokemon when he fights Ash. The first one he sends out is Darkrai. This is basically like summoning the God of Death. No, I'm sorry. Not like summoning it. Darkrai as a Pokemon is the God of Death of the Pokemon world. So Stage 1, you have to fight against a god. Oh, that's fair. And then, so Ash manages to barely pull off a victory, sacrificing 4 of his Pokemon,
they
death,
faint or whatever,
to finally stop Darkrai. That's his first Pokemon. Says another one, it's another fucking legendary. This character basically existed to say, no, I don't care what you people want, Ash does not win. That's what it kind of...
Yeah, it had no further meaning to it besides...
Fortunately, the tournament was kind of a backdrop for this season.
Well, and there was plotting and weaving throughout the tournament itself.
Yeah, the tournament made it interesting. Tournament was more of a means to an end. One interesting thing I found about this season was... Well, personally, I consider RWBY to have 8 core characters. The teams of Team RWBY and Team Juniper. Mm-hmm. Now, you would think that Ruby Rose, as the leader of Team RWBY, and, the 4 most central characters, would be the lead characters. I don't actually consider that to be the case. Personally, the 2 characters I feel are the leads are John and Blake. My reasoning is that they're the ones who the stories who have to develop as characters. Pretty much every plot in the story up until season 3 was as a direct result of their actions or their motivations.
Because of the White Fang thing on Blake's side and Sean trying to learn not to be a dweeb in his side.
Yes. Now, he did get better in this season, but quite honestly, the thing that was different was both of those characters were kind of in the background. I mean, yes, they were still important, but this season focused instead pretty much on Cinder and her entourage, with just some brief asides to other characters.
And with a nice focus on Pyrrha towards the end there, which then kind of got yanked out from under you, but for a while there it's like, wow, we're really focusing on Pyrrha.
Yeah, I'll have my own thing about Pyrrha in a bit. So, essentially the story is that the tournament's going on, and Cinder has... this diabolical plot going on in the background. And Ozpin reveals some backstory that I really don't like.
What, you don't like the 4 maidens?
No, I don't.
Oh. Seemed reasonable to me, but go ahead.
Okay, first off, I don't think it really fits the world as it is. Imagine if you were watching a show about steampunk and then suddenly Gandalf shows up.
That would be weird.
Thematically, RWBY has always struck me more as a technomagological society with, flying machines and advanced technology, but also a bit of spiritualism and mysticism with the semblances and the dust. Mm-hmm. First off, the Maiden's story comes across to me just very much as pure mysticism in what before was generally a balanced story. So it doesn't feel thematically appropriate. Or,
So if there had been, 4 unique weapons or something that had a technological edge to them, that would seem better suited? It's kind of what we're
a little. The second part is... Okay, Tumblr's gonna rag on me, but, the first 2 seasons were kinda interesting if you were a guy. Basically, you were relegated to... The only positive male in... Okay, most of the hunters and huntresses we meet are female. So, and they tend to kick all of the ass. The problem with that is that when it comes to male representation of the show, we have Peter Port, who is not taken seriously by anyone. Oobleck, who is voiced by Caboose. I don't really think I need to... Who's
but he's awesome Caboose, though, right?
He's like Caboose mixed with Morton Solis, which, honestly, that sounds way cooler, but...
He's still cool.
But even then, he came in at the very end of Season 2.
And kicked ass.
Ozpin, who is kind of a manipulative schemer...
But, he's a good guy schemer.
Yes.
He's not we all hate it, in the dictator we must overthrow or something.
Yeah, this is just a really little thing, but I don't know. It says, only women can be this. You already have a lot of women power in this show. Just a little equality is just what I'm... asking for. I'm not saying... it's not a nice thought on my part, and I apologize for it. It's just that little thing about me that says, what would be the problem with letting a person with a Y chromosome have a run of the powers? I mean, they let Egg have avatar power. Hell, they let Korra have avatar power. It doesn't have anything to do with the gender thing, but just they let Korra have access to avatar power.
What's wrong with Korra?
I direct you to season 1 and 2 of Legend of Korra.
I know, but then there was season 3 and 4.
Yes, but Jimmy.
Nah.
Season 1 and 2 of Korra.
Come first.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's a little thing. Third, it kind of feels like it comes right the hell out of nowhere.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you're getting from that. I mean, I noticed it was coming out of nowhere type of a thing, but to me it was like, well, there's a larger world out there we hardly ever get to see. I'm not surprised. There's some secrets that, like, Osmond knows that we don't. Yeah, their powers are more mystic-ish, but it's still canonically based around aura, which has been the thing since season 1.
Well, do we know that? I mean...
Wow.
I don't think we've ever seen... Okay, then again, Aura's kind of bullshit when it comes to consistency.
Right, so like that, it was flexible enough for me to accept it. As far as the girls only thing, yeah, I know what you're saying. I just kind of roll with it because, okay, they're going to have a lot of... Because I guess there have been so many other shows that are all guys that I'm like, well, okay, fine, here's the all-girl show.
Look, yeah,
I'll take it.
I'm just concerned about... What really pisses me off is shows that tout themselves as, oh, we have powerful women, and do that by making the other side look like shit. So if you... It's easy to say, oh, well, just because, like, Kim Possible's awesome, doesn't mean that the rest of the show is shit. But then you look at Ron, and he's basically a bumbling doofus in that show.
Yeah, but
just imagine if it was from the other side.
Yeah, but the bumbling doofus in this show has gotten better, John.
That is true, and I do applaud them for doing that. And another reason why I say that he is actually one of the main characters, because these characters grow and... Well, actually, John and Blake pretty much are the only characters that really need to grow and evolve. Every other character for the first...
some growth on the rest of them, but okay. Those are the standouts.
Yeah, but they actually... Consistent growth. Honestly, it doesn't feel like the rest of the characters even need to go to Beacon. They're all the awesome on their own. RWBY has the ability to run at super speed.
Well, don't forget Weiss had her arc of growth, which is long since over now. But for a while, there was the defrosting
it was like
ice
2 or 3
thing.
episodes.
It was a little longer than that.
Okay, yeah. And that was over relatively quickly. It was over by the end of season 1, really.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So yeah, I wasn't fond of the Maiden stuff.
And I thought they did some interesting things, like to move on from Maidens.
I was planning on
from what you said to the other aspect of it. I thought it was interesting that Pyrrha's. So to recap for those who somehow forgot, Pyrrha is offered to become the new Fall Maiden because the previous one had been attacked. Part of her power is stolen. She's in a coma now, and we need to transfer the rest of her power over to you so you can help us save the world against whoever's out there that had previously stolen it, which turns out to have been Cinder.
Yeah, was anyone fucking surprised?
No, I wasn't.
You see Peter? It was me on the log! No, it's Zway, the little corgi.
But
it was me, mortals.
I like how, so they're bringing her this choice of, we need to give you these superpowers to make you awesome. But it's ambiguous as to what this actually entails, even for the characters themselves. They're like, well, this has never happened before in history. We can transfer her aura, which brings, some of the power, but it might alter your personality. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a weird place to go in a good way. Pyrrha doesn't know exactly what she might be giving up. And she's got this romance thing with Jean, right?
Okay.
And she might be screwing that up by, brainwashing herself, but for the greater good. I'm like, that's a kind of interesting heroic sacrifice angle.
And here's where we go to get into Pyrrha. Pyrrha. Okay, you guys who should have avoided spoilers, yeah, she dies at the end of the season. Yeah, but, what I did not expect was that some people were really fucking happy about this.
What? Why?
Look, I don't like Pyrrha. Sorry, that isn't true. I didn't like Pyrrha. Have to talk in past tense, because she's not around anymore. Hey, I like writing. I like having proper tenses.
Okay.
Didn't like Pyrrha. That's okay. In between season, when we first did the review and now I started talking to this guy who lives in England. His name is Coeur Al Aran. You guys should check him out. He's probably the best fanfic writer in the RWBY section of fanfiction.net. Yeah, so shortly after I saw season 3, I Skyped with him. He changed his avatar to showing Cinder mid-vaporizing Pyrrha with the words, "Joy to the world," underscoring it. I swear to God, I can't make this shit up.
Didn't he spoil everybody everywhere then?
I don't think he gives a fuck at that point. He really hated Pyrrha, and the sad part is...
Why do people hate Pyrrha that much?
Honestly...
I can understand you being like, just not liking her in a neutral sense, but what's negative about her?
Okay, I didn't like her at all because in a world where it's girl power and stuff, and I know I just got over that, but she fails the Bechdel test harder than pretty much any character.
How does a single character fail the Bechdel test? She never talks to any other girls? Does she not talk to any other girls? Really?
Pretty much every plot point about Pyrrha is, how can I help John?
Okay.
So her entire goal and motivation is, I want to be Jean's girlfriend.
No.
Okay. Until season 3 happens.
I mean, but she had... Okay, to take it to the next level or something would totally be like, oh, I feel like I'm worthless unless Jean is looking my way. It was actually, she's quite calm and confident and a good gladiator and happens to have her major arc as a romance arc. But it wasn't just complete, I'm worthless without the man type of a thing.
Yes, but most of what we saw was just her pining over John or trying to help John or interacting with John.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, if they had gone the way that they had started out going, that she was sick and tired of people paying attention to her just for her tournament shit, which is why she was attracted to John in the first place, that might have been a really interesting character. If we'd ever had that happen. Go back and rewatch seasons 1 and 2. Go back and watch them. The only time it's mentioned is at the very beginning when Pyrrha is first introduced, is that she has, she wins tournaments. And Weiss isn't even the one to initially bring this up. She doesn't go, Pyrrha, you've won so many tournaments. Want to be partners? No. Weiss, when she was trying to recruit Pyrrha, was saying, you and I are strong. Together, we could make a really good team and get good grades together.
That sounds similar.
Yes, but I prefer to think of it as a distinction.
Okay.
I don't know. It's different to me.
So the point being that...
But that never gets mentioned again in any time in her run. Imagine if... and that should make a very core part of Pyrrha's character. She has won several tournaments in a row. But we never hear her mention them. Never talking about, oh, John, you're doing well. If you do this, I saw a guy do this in a past tournament. That almost beat me that one time. So if you try this, you might have a better chance.
And we could get more into her history of A, doing well, but also B, feeling like she's always judged for her outside, record.
And something Coeur mentioned to me, and it's a subtle way. Usually this is a charged thing that I'm going to say. She's arrogant. See? Right there on your face.
Hey, I'm allowed to question things that you say. Go and explain yourself.
Okay. What?
Explain. What?
Oh, I thought you said don't explain yourself.
I said go ahead and explain yourself.
Pyrrha is concerned about John throughout pretty much the entire first... Okay, yeah, she's concerned about John. Yeah. She knows he snuck into the school, that he doesn't have the combat skills. So she tries training him. This is all well and good, but if you really care for someone so much, do you tell them, I'm the only one who can help you? Or do you try every method possible to get that person up to snuff? Think of it like tutoring, like with math.
Yeah.
We always see is her trying to train John. That's...
Was there someone else who wanted to train John and she told
She
him
could
to fuck off?
She could have asked someone.
I got the impression that Jean wanted to hide his dweebishness from everyone if possible. Like, from his first appearance, he's trying to pretend he's more hot stuff than he is, and so getting other tutors would involve confessing to more people, and he was too embarrassed to do that.
Okay. But at that point, everyone knows that he sucks.
There's a difference between knowing that people know and saying it out loud. Right? Like, to give the math analogy, you might have one best friend that you're okay getting math tutoring from, but you're embarrassed to, like, ask other people to go out of their way and spend their precious hours helping you, and you feel like a burden on them.
Well, that's what Pyrrha is doing anyway. You'd think...
But Pyrrha's willing. He's probably concerned that other people would find him more of a burden. He was concerned that Pyrrha found him a bit of a burden. Like, oh, why do you bother with me, right? And Pyrrha's, like, his closest... partner or friend or whatever in the whole school. So if I had ever seen an arc where Pyrrha said, "Now, Jean, no one must train you but me," then I would understand.
It was more subtle thing, not...
Was it more subtle? I don't know.
Yeah, it was just... That's the impression that I got. And if you really want a good example, Cinder's gone to the top with the power of a god and she just managed to beat our headmaster. No, don't call for backup. I could do this alone.
That was dumb of her.
Yeah, no fucking shit.
But she did just have the superpowers implanted in her.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she partially
did. She didn't.
Wait, didn't they start the thing?
They started it, but before it went less than a second or two, Cinder came and wiped out the Amber bitch or whatever.
I assumed that second or two was enough to give her some sort of boost, and she was counting on that to help her win the battle.
I kind of assumed that it didn't work because, well...
I guess I should rewatch that. Okay, we had different interpretations there.
Okay. Yeah, so... Another thing that bugs me? The destiny thing, which also works into the arrogance thing. Which really bugs me because, one, destiny is just one of my pet peeves in fiction. Because I believe, there is no fate but what we make, blah, blah, blah. But then Pyrrha redefines it. I think destiny is a goal. And call that a goal, you idiots! We don't get to say... oh, really? I have a destiny too, except I define destiny as a ham sandwich. So you just have a ham sandwich? I have a ham sandwich.
Of destiny.
I call it destiny. I have a destiny. Really? Yeah, a copy of the game Destiny by Bungie. Okay, one, you do not get to redefine what words mean. Two, he says, my goal is to save the world. Big fucking deal! You're a huntress! That's literally your job!
Well, she's just saying that she really fits into that job. Very well.
Okay, but yeah, I don't...
I mean, that becomes a little bit more of a grammar issue than anything else.
Also, she just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm trying to put into words a concept...
Yeah.
It's like synesthesia or
synesthesia.
Synesthesia, how does that make you feel? Aquamarine. That is literally how my brain works. I think part of the reason why I try to get so many words is I don't know how to express myself. So I'm trying to put into words these concepts that I don't exactly know myself.
One of the great advantages of being a writer is you learn more and more words to describe these things with.
Precisely.
I understand it's still tricky. Yeah.
She doesn't feel like she was fleshed out fully
I thought you might say that. Yeah.
Until the very end when they just killed her off. It's like they were trying to cram in the character development they wanted to give her into one season. They were like, oh crap, we have a deadline before she dies.
Did you also feel that before that she was like a little too perfect? Is that kind of where we're going at? Because she was, of course, such a great gladiator and never seemed to lose. And
that was also a bit of a concern of mine.
Yeah, no, I can see all that. I guess I just don't feel it in such a visceral way.
I don't hate her.
I know. Well, yeah.
I don't like her.
Yeah. I'm not the kind who would change the avatar like that one guy did. Like I kind of liked her, but not as much as I like Ruby and Yang in the gang. I thought her. She has sort of a quiet self-confidence that was a contrast to Ruby's like silliness and Yang's like
Yangness,
bragging, and all that. And then Weiss has this sort of refined thing to her, and Blake is kind of more dark for a better word,
determined and stubborn as fuck.
Stubborn, and Pyrrha just kind of had this natural. It vaguely reminds me of we were talking about Superman having the big brother feeling in the old movies.
Yeah.
Right? And Pyrrha was a little bit like this. She's like, yeah, I'm a gladiator. I kind of know what I'm doing. And I was like, okay, I can go with that. But I also understand the criticisms you're leveling, particularly the bit that she had had very little character outside of the Jean relationship. And we should have built her into other characterization aspects.
Precisely.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, there was opportunities.
There's
wasted.
other characters that don't have a whole lot going for them. I mean, Nora and Ren. But at the same time, we got to see them doing like just their own thing. I mean, which is a good thing. We should always be able to see characters acting in their native environments. But they had enough quirks and things about them that they felt more fleshed out than they really are.
So efficient characterization, as it were. Yeah, I can see what you're saying there a little.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so the maidens things happen.
Pyrrha dies. Oh, and then it's weird that they can kind of get away with the Deus Ex Machina by shoving it into an otherwise very bleak ending. And so you just want something good to happen. You're like, fine, I accept that Ruby has this entirely new power that's never been mentioned before.
I mentioned this to Coeur, but I honestly thought that Ruby, when those things came out of her eyes, I thought she was doing the anime crying where there was waterfalls and it was knocking people away. I swear to God, I thought that was happening.
I did not think that.
I'd like to keep everyone in mind, it was around 2 a.m. when this was happening, so I was not exactly sure that I was not hallucinating. Okay, but the Penny and Pyrrha fight was interesting.
Yeah, actually, that gives a small point. Again, that comes right at the end of her time on the show, but that gave an angle to Pyrrha that had nothing to do with Jean. Suddenly it's, holy shit, did I kill Penny?
Okay, so Penny is dead, maybe?
I mean, I'll be honest, and maybe I've got, like, too cynical or whatever, but I saw her die and I was like, oh, I guess Penny's dead. But she's a robot, so we're okay. Like, I'm sure other people felt like much more of a gut punch. I'm like, nope, she's a robot. We're good.
Okay, so, yeah, I got both the gut punch and, like, oh, okay, well, she's a robot, they might bring her back. Or they might do something complete... Mass Effect 3... Okay, had one of the... Let me back up a bit. Penny, I think, wasn't a good fit for the show. If they had devoted more time to her before now, maybe they could have had a better character.
It's like they did a little bit with, like, oh, she's a robot, but, like, not allowed to see people. And then it was suddenly, nah, she's fine, whatever. She's just another kid who happens to be a robot. And you're like, which way are we going with that? Oh.
If I wanted to see the whole, I am a robot, but I want to be human arc, I'd watch Star Trek. Or I'd watch anime because they have a shit ton of those.
And then, as far as people being prejudiced against her for being a robot, that
never materialized.
Over. Yeah, that never really showed up.
In fact, you could have had a great thing there at the end, like, now you see how brutal oh, none of you care because she just killed a robot. Oh, never mind that. Never mind.
No, granted though, Cinder's speech right after her death was very nicely done. Like,
okay.
She brought in several issues, including the idea of, hey, this robot has been hiding in human flesh. Why is that? I don't think the Grim can tell the difference. So they actually did bring that in a little.
You see the silence? Shit, they're onto us. Abort, divorced. But, okay, seriously, Penny, she was a good... There was a seed of a good character there, which is sadly a common thing in RWBY. You have a bit of a kernel of a good character, but you just don't water that kernel enough for it to sprout.
Well, they've got so many main-ish characters, right?
Which is another problem.
They don't have time to, like, devote to one person.
The big problem I have with... One of the problems I have with the show is, it's like, we have these characters. Okay, what are they like? Oh, who cares? Here's some more characters. And they have all these new weapons and powers.
But particularly at the end of season 2, remember? Like,
Yeah.
and now, like, 8 people you've never seen before, and they're all super cool, but, like, I don't know who they are.
Okay, but back to Penny. On the one hand, I kind of wish we'd seen more of her, more character development. On the other, I kind of understand why she'd die. One, if this was an unpopular move, they could bring her back later. If it was a popular move, then she stays dead. But ultimately, you just lost a character who's contributed very little to the plot thus far. Might have been popular, but she wouldn't have changed much. If they want to bring Penny back, here's how I'd do it. In Mass Effect 3, well, in Mass Effect 2 and 3, well, 2, you gain an ally known as Legion. He's a Geth, which is a type of robot that you spent most of the first game hunting down and killing with guns, because that is basically Mass Effect. Finding giant robots and killing them with guns. But Legion was different, and honestly, this is why Legion is my favorite character out of so many other AIs. And keep in mind, I love giant robots of all kinds. Transformers, Bolo, Halo, Pacific Rim.
Well, they didn't have AIs, but whatever.
Okay, but still. Yeah. Portal. Legion did not want to be a human. It didn't want to be an organic or try to go, I do not understand this thing you call love. Instead, it was, I do not understand this thing. We do not understand this thing you call love. But we do understand why it is important to organics. The Geth do not want to be the same as you. The Geth wish to build our own future. They didn't want... Legion was over 1,000 AIs in one robotic shell. And he didn't want... I say he, and I apologize. It should be it, fine. But it's...
Or they.
They... Yeah, that's probably the only time I'm comfortable with saying they, is when it's...
It's the singular, but also the plural.
Yeah, it pisses me off. But Legion was different from anyone else I've ever seen in a lot of fiction. At the end of it, there was the suicide mission, and Legion could die. When that if that happens, if Legion dies in your playthrough and you load up the game and go to the next game, then you're met with a copy of Legion. This copy acts significantly different towards you when you have to do the Geth levels. It basically is much colder towards you. None of the warmth that Legion will have if Legion survives. It will act very angry towards you because you let its predecessor die. But most importantly, it doesn't remember you. It remembers you from archived data, but it doesn't have the
essential element of memory.
Yes. It doesn't have the essential element, and it keeps rejecting that it's data. I mean, it...
Right, it keeps struggling over these memories. As it
No, it doesn't struggle over the memories. It's fine with that.
Oh.
Shepard is the one that has the problem with it.
Oh.
It's like, Legion wouldn't do this. We are not Legion. And it sounds like this is going to be a running joke or something, but it's really tragic because Shepard wants this to be Legion. Shepard wants it to be this robot. But it's not. Legion died at the Galactic Core helping save people's lives. This is some other Geth. It's just taking your buddy's place. That's how they should play it if Penny comes back. Backed up from archival data, but she basically doesn't give a crap who Ruby is if they meet. Oh, you are Ruby Rose. You knew you knew the one who made... My memories tell you that you were a friend of my predecessor.
That could be quite dark, man. Penny was such an upbeat character.
Yes.
Hey,
that would be dark. Not people getting vaporized or eaten or sliced to pieces.
Everything else is dark already. I'm just saying they might have gone through their darkness appetite for a little while. Because there's so much of this darkness will continue automatically into Season 4.
Yeah,
but I know what you're saying, though. It would be unique if they bring her back to change it as opposed to just Penny's back and they're completely the same as always. And that would be kind of dumb if they did that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of thought that's how Penny versus Pyrrha would happen at any rate. Pyrrha uses her semblance, it wipes Penny, and then we're done. Oops. Although this season, I think they finally realized exactly what they could do with Pyrrha's powers. Because, like, in previous seasons, it was just, oh, I'm Pyrrha, I make some stuff move very slightly. And then, like, the only time she really used her powers in a big way in Season 2 was in the food fight when she manipulated that storm of cans. When this one, she's throwing gears around, she's pinning John to the wall 30 feet up. It's like, why weren't you doing this shit back when it counted?
See, her throwing those gears around at the top of the tower was me thinking, like, oh, that's, she can throw more stuff than usual because fall powers.
Or she's just pissed off.
Or she's just pissed off, yeah.
But, okay, so basically, Cinder is trying to get her hands on these maiden powers, and most of the season is about her manipulating people into place.
Well, not just for her getting the maiden powers, but also to set up for a general civil war between the nations. Right.
I guess it's not really civil war if it's between nations.
I mean, they were used to be allies, so the breaking of the alliance.
That's not civil war.
The breaking of the alliance.
That's just war.
Okay, fine, war.
Okay.
Set up a war. Which is a really nice, grand plan of hers, and it relies not just on...
You know who Cinder is?
No.
She's Azula.
She's, I guess...
She controls fire with her mind. She's the best fighter in the entire world. She gets a superpower boost at the end of Season 3 by some phenomenon that's always existed in the world. And she's a schemer that manages to take everything out from all the other characters. And she kills one of the main characters, one who is destined to inherit grand powers from previous generations of heroes.
What?
She is totally Azula.
I hadn't thought of that. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we need to have Azula fight Cinder.
Yep.
Because that would be awesome. But, yeah. So Cinder basically manipulates the entire thing, beginning to end. Only really loses when RWBY comes into the picture.
And then only part of the way loses. And then only loses because RWBY pulls out a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
But we're totally going to let that slide because we feel like it. But yeah.
Oh, she has silver eyes. Yeah, it could be a random genetic mutation. No. It has to be she has superpowers. Fuck you.
I mean, yeah. I don't mind that RWBY has some special power.
She already moves like the Flash. What more power? Okay.
It's a little, you can see the temptation in a show that loves its fight scenes so much, and in a show that needed freaking to have some victory at the end of Season 3. But, like, we originally had people fighting with their weapons, and then we brought in, semblance. And it turns out, yeah, you can do more powers we hadn't mentioned before. And then Weiss's semblance was expanded to, you can do summoning. Yeah, we hadn't quite mentioned that before. And then RWBY, by the way, it turns out when you freak out, you cry, and you freeze giant Grimm into stone or something. And also defeat Cinder somehow while you're at it. Because we said so. And you're like, it didn't really bug me. It wasn't like end of Korra Season 2. Remember, you're like, oh, for God's sake, what is this?
She walks into a tree, sits down, and goes into the lotus position, and she became a giant. What the fuck was that even about?
But they should have hinted that RWBY's silver eyes meant something. They could have built that up over the course of the season.
One thing that bugs and does not bug me about this season is that they tried to reestablish the Grimm as a threat. Season 1 and Season 2, you were able to see Team RWBY able to go effortlessly through an army of Grimm, slaughtering them with impunity. This one, they actually show the Grimm as it takes a little bit of effort to take him down. Mm-hmm. That also creates a plot hole, such as, for example, RWBY managing to drag a Nevermore the size of the space shuttle up the side of a cliff and decapitate it, and then fighting a smaller Nevermore in this season, and it takes like 13 people punching it continuously to get it to die.
I presume size isn't the only measure of strength, and this one was like Levermore level 30 or something. Nevermore. I said Levermore. Levermore!
It was the size of a space shuttle! This one was the size of a bus!
Okay, the size of the space shuttle one still took a 4-person effort, though, right? Like, RWBY was the ultimate hit, but still...
Yeah, they still managed to take it down fairly
quick, yeah.
Fairly quickly. This one, they had to hit it with, like, locker missiles. Then they were all jumping on it and trying to beat its lunch money out of it. And everyone was freaking out, even the experienced hunters. Oh no, a Nevermore! Why?
Yeah, no,
look, I get that they had to reestablish the Grimm as a threat. Mm-hmm. Especially since they were kind of not a threat at all.
It's also, too, that Grimm are attracted by, like, people freaking out, right?
Yeah.
The negative feelings. Maybe they're powered up also by those feelings, so the whole city freaking out was different than 4 people on a training mission.
Also, why was that why was them watching a tournament on TV the thing that made them freak out?
Well, no, it was a tournament where, they were suddenly concerned that Yang had turned evil, it seemed, and then someone died in front of them, and then turned out to be a robot. And then, at that exact moment, an evil speech gets played, and a Nevermore shows up. It's the cumulative effect, I think.
But really, everyone in the entire city, across these kingdoms, was watching this and felt the exact same depression. And they didn't go, yeah, this is boring, and turn on, like, Cartoon Network or something.
Somebody died on camera? That's a new thing.
Okay, well, yes, it's new, but, like, everyone was watching the program.
I don't
There
know.
wasn't someone who was like,
people were
oh,
watching.
this is boring and stupid, and decided to watch America's Next Top Model instead. Don't tell me that America doesn't exist here.
Vale's next top model.
Thank you. But, like, everyone felt this way.
I mean, enough people. There's some critical mass or something.
This brings me to my next point. A lot of people have been saying that, oh, no. See, Pyrrha survived. We didn't see the body. I call these people imbeciles because she was very clearly vaporized. But you can convince me of that. You can convince me that the Rooster Teeth had the maiden thing planned all along, and that they've had this grand plan since the beginning. You can even convince me that that Pyrrha had a deep and meaningful character arc. You can convince me of all of that with the right rhetoric. You will not convince me that the giant flying stadium is anything but the stupidest idea they've had in this show.
Really? You hate the flying stadium? I even forgot it was flying.
Step 1.
Oh.
So little attention was called to that, we forgot it was flying.
Yeah, no, I forgot. I totally forgot that.
2. Atlas is the one... This is a little bit of fridge logic stuff, but Atlas is the one who's funding this thing. The Schnee Dust Corporation is based in Atlas. So all this dust is provided by the Schnees. And if you...
Like out of your nose? The dust is provided by the Schnees.
Weiss Schnee and her family.
I know, but I just made the connection between dust and sneezing.
So remember Blake's thing back in season 1 was... the Schnee Dust Corporation is using Faunus slave labor camps.
That's been sort of ignored, hasn't it?
Yeah, so every second that this monstrosity is floating, that's like 12 Faunus dead. Oh, and then it gets better because remember the stadium? At one point someone grabs a random crystal that's broken off of the landscape, attaches it to their flying skateboard, because fuck you, of course, there's a flying skateboard. And that changes the dust thing inside of it. So these arenas are made of dust too. How much dust is... How many people have died to keep this... So that you can have your bread in circuses?
And then forget that they're flying, yeah.
Okay, that is point 2. Point 3 is... So these stadiums are made of dust. I seem to recall in season 1, the first time we ever met Weiss, was when RWBY dropped some dust and it exploded!
Wait, is the whole
like
thing made of dust or just powered by dust?
We saw someone reach down onto the ground, grab a chunk of the landscape, and insert it into their weapon, changing its elements.
I thought that was just the landscape, like not the whole damn place, but okay, yeah, I know what you're saying.
So you're basically firing shots into a landscape made out of bombs. 4, Cinder didn't need to do anything. All she would need to do to get everyone to feel super depressed is just to go down into the engine room and start hitting it with a wrench until it breaks, and then get off before it impacts at terminal velocity.
Maybe...
And then... Oh, wait. Remember all the dust in there? That would explode, probably wiping out Beacon and a good chunk of Vale, too.
So basically dust is super inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, say what you will about uranium, but at least you know what it's going to do. So, yeah, that was dumb and insane.
Yeah, okay, it kind of was. They should be more consistent with their world building, I'll give you that. And had they done so, they could have found a way to fit the maidens in more naturally, too, like in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then... Oh, another thing that bugs me, because I can never have anything randomly positive. The Elysian airship armada, first off, they were fucking useless.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like, yes, the enemy is coming. Oh, it turns out we only have 3 ships despite us seeing so many, like an entire air armada.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
And only one of them going rogue is enough to take down the other 2.
And for some reason, those 2 don't gang up on the rogue. I think maybe they're like
and
4 ships.
2 shots gets to shoot down a battleship. It's like, you guys suck. But the thing that most pisses me off is, look it up, people. These things look exactly identical to Turian dreadnoughts from Mass Effect.
Oh.
No, seriously.
Yeah, all right.
You know what?
I'll do it.
Yeah, see?
I'm now Googling, for those of you on the audio, because we only have audio, but Turian dreadnought. Yeah, that is quite similar.
Quite similar. It's exactly identical.
I mean, there's a bit more of the flare in the backside of the RWBY version, but it's very, very similar.
Yeah, dude, come on. Like, a little effort, people. Okay, but yeah, so Roman gets busted out, and he and Neo manage.
That was neat. He finally got busted though. Like that was a long running thing. He was in jail, but he knew like something was coming, and now we finally got to see the payoff.
Yeah. So he manages to break out, and he's on the battleship, and he gets eaten, just fucking eaten.
That really established your Grim as being quite deadly.
Okay, but it's another problem where they've had in the past where the character power levels are inconsistent.
Well, wasn't his power level always... Well, let's see.
Okay, let's see. First time we meet him, he has his ass kicked by RWBY.
Mm-hmm.
Then he kicks Blake's ass. And then he gets his ass kicked again by Blake.
Right.
So... Oh, and by the way, the fact that he's escaped pretty much every single bad thing that ever happened makes me think personally that he survived.
I was thinking that might be the case somehow.
Just like at the end of Pacific Rim, where it shows the baby kaiju, and then the knife cuts its way out, and Hannibal Chow is going, "Where's my fucking shoe?" That is going to happen, except it's going to be like his hat or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Neo, this character who was capable of defeating Yang in a straight-up fight without taking any damage, gets beaten because RWBY reaches up and opens the parasol on top of the ship, and Neo somehow forgets that she can close it.
Well, I mean, once you've left the ship by even a meter or two, it's really hard to get back.
We don't even know what the hell her semblance is. I've heard that it's teleportation, the other is illusion. Mm-hmm. There's evidence for both theories, but you couldn't use that to get back on the fucking ship and go, no, RWBY, wham, 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 wham. Go Cobblepot on him. Go the Penguin. Have a machine gun in that thing.
I thought it was a clever use of environment type of thing.
It was clever.
Like,
but,
oh right, there is wind up here. Remember? Boop,
yeah.
You're gone.
Yeah, just like really, what a character who managed to kick Yang's ass so hard that her mom had to open up a goddamn hole in the fabric of space-time to save her ass.
That's kind of the problem at the end of season 2. We had to make it all epic, but we didn't quite think it through, and now we have to deal with the consequences.
Also, at the end of season 2, they had this scene where Yang and her mom are meeting, but that apparently never happened.
Well, I thought it was like a weird, dreamy spirit thing that didn't last very long. And
that's like the only explanation that really makes sense.
Yeah, and then she went back to the regular world real quick.
Yeah. Glad that was a thing. Thanks Rooster Teeth. Thanks for providing us with nothing. That was real.
They're probably gonna get around to that in season 4, but it's been a long wait. Okay. I'll give you.
So Blake and Adam, her old white fang mentor, meet again. Yang tries to intervene and gets her goddamn arm chopped off.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, granted, we know that prosthetics exist in this universe, but still.
Yeah, no, that was neat seeing Yang at the end, like, in her cabin or whatever that was. Like,
yeah, like the house on Patch.
And they said, how's Yang? Well, she's gonna take some time adjusting. And you're kind of like,
no fucking shit!
What was that about? And then we go see her. Like, they don't tell you, right, you just kind of see it, and then you're like, holy frick, that's...
Wait, you didn't know? You saw the arm leaving the body when Adam swiped.
I somehow missed that.
How the fuck did you miss her losing an arm?
I don't know. I'm gonna check this again. No, I was honestly unaware of it until I saw her in bed. I'm like, oh, frick, that's a thing. that was it is like sad, but in a good way. Like, oh, that's good writing. That now she has something to struggle with.
Yeah. So the end is kind of super depressing. So Pyrrha's dead. Yang's maimed.
Yeah, and then Weiss has been taken back to...
Blake ran away.
So we have like a new team now. That's shaking things up.
Yeah, they're calling it Team Journey. Well, fans are calling it Team Journey.
That's very good. Yeah.
John, Ruby, Ren, Nora.
Yeah, I could do that. Journey.
Yeah. So,
So stuff happened. I give them credit
though
for that.
I do have to give them credit for another thing. Last time I said that the stupidest weapon I'd ever seen in all of my years of fiction was Sun's. Which is, I'd like to remind you all, a bow staff that turns into nunchucks made of semi-automatic flintlock shotgun. Flintlock pistols.
Yeah.
Congratulations, son, you have been relieved of the position by Flint Cole. Lord have mercy, the weapon that he uses to fight the forces of darkness, the weapon he uses to shine a light into the world and destroy Grimm and protect the innocent, is a trumpet.
Yeah.
It's a trumpet!
See, I like jazz so much that I was like, hey, that's unique.
He's fighting the forces of evil with a trumpet!
I just applaud him for his audaciousness.
This is as stupid, as bad as Waka in Final Fantasy X fighting against gods with a volleyball!
Yeah, it was an awesome volleyball. Awesome underwater
and
volleyball.
His semblance makes a quartet.
Yes.
Why? Who thought this was a good idea?
I did.
Your semblance is supposed to say something about you. What the fuck does that say about you?
Self-centered?
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Does the semblance consistently say anything about people, though? Like, how does the ability to play Magneto say anything about Pyrrha?
It's a manifestation of your soul's energy, so it kind of should say something about you.
But it doesn't in her case. Like, she has no particular affinity for metal. It's not like she's a metal worker or something in her spare time. That would be nice, though. If we're characterizing Pyrrha, give her something to do with it. Like, she's, instead of just hurting people, she's, like, making trinkets or something out of metal. Like, hey, I can bend this. Yeah.
Well, Team RWBY, theirs actually do fit them in terms of their souls.
Yeah.
RWBY is very fast, which
she's got a personality for that.
Yeah, she's got a highly energetic personality. Yang's is that if you kick my ass enough, I will destroy you.
Yep.
Which is pretty much Yang in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Weiss is super technical and detailed, which is perfect for her glyphs, which can do all sorts of cool things, but she has to practice really hard at them, and they're super exact, and if you screw it up, it explodes or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Blake is perfect for running away.
Mm-hmm. It was neat, too, when you thought for a second they were doomed, and Adam was, like, leering over them, and then they disappeared, and you're like, did they just burn to a... Oh, semblance, okay.
How did you miss Yang getting her arm chopped off, but not that part?
I don't know. I think maybe I got distracted somehow. I'm sorry.
I skipped most of the fight scenes because I was binge-watching it in one night.
I seriously need to go watch that episode again.
Okay, now since it is a Rooster Teeth production, there's also lots of little goodies that if you pay careful attention to, you can see. Like, for example, Gavin Free joins Team Sun as the redheaded guy. He works with Achievement Hunter. It's part of Rooster Teeth.
Okay.
Let's see. The character of Flint Cole, as fucking stupid as that is, with his fucking trumpets... Flint Cole actually originated in their Let's Play Minecraft series because they kept mistaking Flint, which is the thing you can get in Minecraft, for coal, which... So they were saying, Flint Cole? Flint Cole? Oh, that sounds like a guy. So eventually they made him into a secret agent. Lord
secret agent trumpeter.
Secret agent Flint Cole.
Where could he be now? I don't know. Oh, wait, there he is.
My God, I suck at this. Also, his partner is... a roller skater who's colored all the colors of the rainbow.
She's like even more Pinkie Pie.
She's like Pinkie Pie, if nothing changed, really. She's really just Pinkie Pie.
I gotta give them credit, though, and this is one of the initial appeals of RWBY, is that they really, really avoid the old trap of getting every badass the same generic McBadass personality, where they stand around and talk about how badass. No, whatever. We're skating who skates, and we got like a trumpet, and we're like Ruby herself is of course very energetic and stuff. I'm like, thank you. People are different, and they have different feelings and stuff. And then Crow is a little bit more of the like generic, He's okay because he's unique now within this cast, but he's more to the
he's a drunken badass.
He's more traditional that way with the way he talks, and I'm Crow.
Yeah,
stuff.
So we also meet Winter, Weiss's older sister, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
She's okay. I mean, she's basically an older Weiss.
One thing that just because it reminds me of Iron Sides, Iron Man. Yeah.
I am Iron Man. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
No,
yes.
So Ironsides gets a fight scene.
Ironwood, not Ironsides.
Ironwoods. Where's Ironsides coming from? I'm getting that.
I don't know where you get half the shit.
Ironwood is got a fight scene, and that disappointed me a bit actually because he's being a fighter all of a sudden, like everyone else on the show, and I really wanted his power to be leadership. Like, he doesn't personally fight you. He's just directed his guys to shoot you from, 300 yards and stuff,
Yeah, but these are hunters where you got to figure ass-kicking equals authority.
Yeah, but I wanted someone to have the authority in a different way.
I liked how
I wanted him to be like a Thrawn, almost. Like, you don't fight him personally. You just fight his armies, and you're like, oh, shit.
I bet he does that, 99% of the time.
I know,
it's just that there's a Beowulf fucking there.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I did like how his fight scene was relatively understated, and his weapon wasn't something insane.
Yeah,
it was just like a big-ass pistol.
Yeah, so they did make him a little unique that way.
Mm-hmm.
Grammarians somewhere are telling us that, things can't be slightly unique. Shut up, we redefined that word, years ago. Picked up on that tidbit from the West Wing a while back.
But, okay, so right now, at the end of the season, we've just been jumping everywhere in this review.
Hey man, it's less rambly than our last review.
Are you kidding? This is more rambly.
We stayed on the topic of RWBY the whole time, almost. Remember Star Wars?
Yes, except...
We had to review all 7 movies and got around to Anomalisa somehow.
Yeah, but I diverted somehow into Mass Effect, so...
Yeah, but as part of an example for this show.
Okay, fair point. So... Yeah, at the end, RWBY runs away from home, where her father, Taiyang, it just finds a note saying, hey, RWBY ran away. Yang is bedridden, because she's,
depressed.
Yeah. So, Team Journey is now going to the school, some place called Haven, which is apparently where Cinder and her cronies came from.
Yeah, they don't have much of a lead to go on there, but I kind of run with it. It's like, all right, guys, the world is screwed up. We got this one vague idea of what to do about it.
Can you open up the Cortana page again?
Yeah, no, her name was Jen Taylor.
Okay, so, and then Jen Taylor starts narrating again, and I'm like, yes, we haven't heard her since the beginning. Oh, wow, it's nice of her to come back. And then she starts talking about how much humans suck, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt, isn't it? So, because, it's totally unique that a character done by Jen Taylor, who seemed benevolent at first, turns ultimately evil. Oh, wait, that's the plot of Halo 5!
I've never actually played Halo 5.
I haven't either, because I don't have an Xbox One, because I'd only ever play Halo 5 on it, so it didn't seem worth it for an entirely new system. But, anyways. So it turns out Jen Taylor is this new character who's working in the shadows and stuff, and she's kind of implied to be the one behind Cinder's ability to steal people's aura or something, and she looks like fucking evil.
Like white-haired Medusa.
Imagine if Death from the Sandman tried to become a supervillain.
Yeah. Not what she's normally up to, but yeah.
Yeah, and she's apparently in what I can only assume is some dummied out level of XCOM. That's what it looks like.
I thought she might be in hell at first, and then it was pointed out that you can actually see the moon in that shot. So
yeah, I'm the one who did that.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my question is, who the fuck are you? What the fuck is your problem? And why would anyone make a deal with you? This is a continuing thing in fiction. Now, I get the deal with the devil trope, as in, you make a deal with someone and it bites you in the ass because they keep demanding more from you because of blackmail and shit. Like a gang. You make a deal with the mafia, you're indebted for life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Why do people keep making deals with literal devils? It's not just RWBY, because you got to figure that Cinder and we're going to get back to her in just a bit, made a deal in order to be able to get the power of fall or whatever. So, why? Why would you deal with this person? Hi, hello, I'm Beelzebub. Want to make a deal? You're gonna get fucked over worse than a whorehouse on 2-for-1 Tuesday.
Oh, God.
Hey, I'm
the
proud
metaphors on this show, but no, it was very clever. Just also, wow.
I've been saving that one for months. I swear to God I have. But seriously, though, why would anyone make a deal with you when basically your job is you're standing in a crystal castle in Hell Nightmare World talking about how the humans are gonna fucking die? Why would anyone say, yeah, trusting you sounds like a great idea?
Well, for all we know, Cinder is getting what she wants, right? So maybe it was more logical with this particular devilish person. Like, if Cinder gets backstabbed, then it's more of the cliche, you idiot, why did you make a deal? But maybe they're actual functioning partners of some kind.
No, I mean, this should just be ingrained in society. If someone looks like they are capable of, casting your soul into the fiery pits, and her name is Salem.
Salem Witch Trials.
So from what I'm gathering, she's like the mother of the Grimm, or the one who's been manipulating things behind the scenes with the Grimm. Maybe she created them. To which I will have to wonder, why the fuck do you hate humans so much? And Faunus, apparently. But so, why? What did we ever do to you?
I don't know, but you could ask a lot of...
Okay, no. Why is this a constant thing? That apparently every powerful being in fiction says, humans suck, I want to wipe them out. That doesn't seem like an overreaction. Maybe like contact the government saying, excuse me, yes... I have these list of complaints about what you did to me. No one ever tried. No, it's always goes straight to, I'm going to wipe out the human race.
Yeah.
What did we ever do to you? Hopefully they explain that, but at the moment, just really, you're doing this again. We're gonna face an enemy who's sort of magical, but sort of not, who's kind of a demon and wants to destroy humanity. Again. Why?
My defenses on that are just, one, obviously it makes it a very easy plot setup. For if you want good guys to be humans, then someone who kills all humans... And Faunus. Then someone who kills those folks is an obvious enemy of everybody, and they can easily become an alliance and go fight the bad guy. Two, I would say that the actions of real life, genocidal maniacs against certain varieties of human are just as irrational, and yet it has happened in the real world, so apparently people can be just that crazy. And I guess people that look like demons are even more crazy or something. But I know what you're saying, though, that plotline has happened a lot in so many works of fiction, and it's...
Halo, at least there was a justification. They justified it. The reason the Covenant wants humans dead is because the leadership of the Covenant wants to hide the fact that humans would pretty much take their place if the truth ever became known.
Maybe they'll have an explanation for
Here's hope.
Salem. Yeah,
Here's hoping.
Giving it time. No, I was confused though, because when I heard that intro in season 1, right?
Yeah.
And then we saw Cinder like very shadowy, and he was apparently the power behind
Roman.
I always want to say Roman and then Roman and whatever. I assumed that Cinder had been the voice of that. And so hearing the voice again at the end of season 3, I thought, oh, Cinder's giving another speech because she just won. Like, she won the everything, pretty much. And then we see Salem, like, holy freak, what happened to Cinder? Like, I thought she had gone to, like, one-winged angel mode or something, having collected enough dust or whatever, and now this is her true form. And apparently, no, it's just a different character. Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So, Adam, we saw Adam pretty much on the show for the first time. I mean, he showed up at the end of season 2, but we got the first real thing of his character here. And don't tell me about the Blake trailer. I haven't seen it, and honestly, I don't care about it because, Rooster Teeth openly describes them. They're not really that important. I mean, they show important events, but honestly, they're just trailers to show how awesome the weapons are.
Yeah.
But Adam... I kind of imagine Adam to be, kind of a calculator, kind of someone who's just like scheming, kind of like a lesser version of Cinder.
You kind of have to be if you're leading a terrorist organization.
And when we meet him, he's every Tumblr stereotype of men. Blake, I love you, and I'm going to kill everyone you love until you love me back. You left me. Ah!
It didn't come that flat to me, but I mean, I know kind of what you're getting at, yeah.
No, he literally said, I will kill everything that you love, and you will join me.
Yeah.
That is a literal quote.
He did say that. I guess
then he cut off Yang's arm.
Yeah, no, I guess I headcanoned it a little to be like, because I'd always imagined because of Blake, right? Because she told us the White Fang started off trying to protect innocent villainous, and then they turned evil, so I just automatically applied this more nuanced thing to Adam's backstory in my head that they didn't really go into, I'll give you.
Yeah, I did too. And then I saw this doofus.
And you saw this guy. Yeah.
This is what John would have been in like 20 years if he hadn't, had Pyrrha and the others.
And if he was evil, yeah. Yeah. I did find it interesting to see Cinder's backstory, like tried to recruit the White Fang at one point, and they said no, and then like freaking killed a bunch of their guys, and like it tied her into the rest of the story a little bit, because for a while it was just White Fang is a thing, and then like, oh, never mind, we dealt with them, and it was nice to see them come back in present form, but also in their flashbacks.
I don't what is Cinder's motivation? If she okay, look, if it was just to get her hands on the maiden power, that's fine. I could understand that. But she sounds like she was talking to that giant dragon Grimm, saying, this is your new home forever. Okay. What do you gain by blowing up society?
Hopefully they'll explain that. I don't know. She certainly seems cool and collected enough so it can't just be insanity on her part. There's some sort of plan.
Ra's al Ghul tends to come across as cool and collected. And he wants to murder the world.
In his case, it's thanks to a severe, like, what do you call it?
Lazarus Pit?
Well, yeah, there's a Lazarus Pit thing, yeah. But he's got this eco protection thing going on. I'm sure there's a word for that. Environmental extremism. At least in some incarnations he does. Mm-hmm. So maybe Cinder just hates society for some reason, or maybe she plans to, kill a bunch of people she hates and then reestablish her own order with like Salem's help somehow. Maybe Grimm don't threaten her, right? Maybe like she is not attacked by Grimm, and so she could just totally live there, even there. What happened? Where did she go when RWBY cried? I wasn't quite clear.
Fuck if I know.
Yeah. Which, again, brought me to, I thought Salem was Cinder, and this was hell, maybe, and so Cinder perhaps had died, but, like, it's okay, because she's a demon, apparently.
Okay. And anyone who's following my fan fictions, you have my solemn promise. I will never have anything good happen to Cinder unless it's a build-up for something even worse happening to her. Because, honestly, Cinder quickly... I have to congratulate Rooster Teeth, because you managed to make Cinder the single most hated character in the entire show in a matter of hours. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Coeur Al... I mentioned him a bunch, but he really is one of the best fanfic writers in RWBY. He's a professional writer, but he also does... Like, he has a Patreon and stuff that's... If we get enough, then he'll be like, oh, I'll be able to work full-time as a writer. A fanfic writer.
Cool.
But, yeah, he has a fanfiction where Cinder basically picked John at random and is just like having meaningless sex as a stress relief thing.
Wow.
The whole thing is basically a very dark romance story. He said that after the season 3 finale aired, he lost over 100 followers on that story. Which, totally fucking understandable, but... But yeah, you guys can see how this is just... It was a very emotional season from beginning to... Okay, well, actually more...
From the middle to the end.
Yeah, pretty much from the middle to the end. Yeah, it was just...
Yeah, when Yang was, like, framed as, being evil in the tournament or whatever, that was like, kind of threw me off a little. Because you only saw it from Yang's perspective at first. I was like, what has happened? Everyone hates Yang all of a sudden. What? And then you saw it on the cameras. I'm like, did I miss something? And I went back. No, I hadn't missed it, but it was all an illusion thing. And that was a neat little place to go. That was different from just, she lost a fight somewhere, Now it's like you lost people's respect. And even afterwards, people were all like, they couldn't come up with the idea that there had been an illusion. They said maybe just the adrenaline got to you, and even Yang seemed to believe it, which is part of her depression now, come to think of it. She still doesn't know there was an illusion thing, as far as I'm aware. So, like, yeah, she kind of thinks I'm an out-of-control monster, and that's interesting.
Well, she's a one-handed out-of-control monster.
Yes, but the one hand, man, for Yang can really mess you up with that one hand.
Yeah. Coeur that sent me, like, a fake photoshopped picture of... He said it was a spoiler for the end of season 4. It showed Yang with both arms gone. So I sent it back. Here's a spoiler of Yang for season 5. It was the clip of the Body Python and Holy Grail Black Knight. I'm invincible! But, I don't think that they're going to go that route.
No.
For the love of God, I hope they don't take that route.
No offense to actual amputees while we're at it. You know us. We joke about everything.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I thought it was better than season 2.
I did too.
Yeah.
Well, the second half of season 2 I thought was really, really, really dumb in a lot of ways. Like, the breach made no sense!
The breach made no sense.
Look,
but they called back to it. I'm glad that. Hey, remember that breach? And, like, everything's fricked up, everybody. And you're like, oh, that's kind of persuasive, Cinder.
Yeah. But, okay. Crud, I lost my train of thought. Darn it! What was I...
The second half of season 2 was really dumb. The breach made no sense.
Okay, season 3... No, before that. What were we talking about before that? No, Yang... damn it!
Should I check the audio log?
No. Shit. But, yeah, so... Oh, what I really liked about the Yang, everyone's doubting her scene is Blake's reaction. And it shows why I think she's the main character. Because... her reaction was very realistic and spoke to her character instead of RWBY would just throw blind optimism at her. I believe you. I believe you saw something. Weiss has grown enough that she's like, well, I doubt you, but you're a good friend, so I believe you. Blake goes, I'd like to believe you. And everyone's just, what the fuck?
Because Blake's been betrayed by friends in the past.
She basically says, yeah, I had a friend once. His name was Adam. And he said, oh, no, sorry, I thought he was attacking. And then he went to, well, it was just to keep him incapacitated. And then it was, no, I just want to murder people. She's seen people go down this slippery slope of darkness before. And she wants to make sure that Yang knows, if you go out of line, I don't believe you.
Mm-hmm. That was good. I'll give you that.
Yes. And then it shows how much Blake still has to work on her character of running the fuck away, being a character flaw when she runs the fuck away.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I will grant that
Adam fits.
Adam basically said, yeah, I'm going to murder everything that you love, and then demonstrated it by dismembering someone.
Yeah.
I can understand why she'd run away. First off, it is her instinctive reaction. That is literally what her semblance allows her to do.
Yeah.
And 2, that's always worked for her before, so it's still a flaw she's working on getting over.
She probably should have left a note, but oh well.
Yeah, that was probably bad.
Yeah, they got lost in the mail or something.
Shit!
Dang you, Postal Service!
Okay, so...
Yeah, wait, come to think of it, though, remember the early part of the season, it was all... Ironwood is bringing in his fleet, and Osmond's like, hey, don't do that. And Ironwood's like, hey, but we need them to protect us from... And then eventually it was a giant grim attack as organized by Cinder. Did they know any of that was going to happen? It's a little vague, come to think about it. Like, they knew things would happen, but that once we got around to revealing all the stuff, I guess they knew someone had the Fall Maiden's power. But had that happened so recently that suddenly now we need to bring in a fleet?
Well, it's kind of implied that Cinder got the Fall Maiden power about the same time that Blake left the White Fang, and she joined Beacon shortly after that. So probably just before season 1 is when they had the Fall Maiden's power partially stolen.
Have they just recently found out about it, though? Because they haven't had a fleet hovering over here for 2
seasons.
No,
it was like we're hearing all these reports that there could be war coming soon.
What reports, though? Like,
they said Chrome... They're vague. They're terrifyingly vague on this shit.
Because the whole war thing starts up with the live broadcast, and then you can't trust anybody, and look, here's some Grim, everybody freak out, and by the way, Penny's dead and all that. Like, all of that was apparently the only reason why war was brewing, right? If Cinder had been doing other stuff behind the scenes...
Well, that and, the the White Fang working openly to steal dust, and the Breach. You know, aside from those things, that was the only sign that war was starting.
No, but the Breach isn't a sign of war. It's a sign of grim attack. This is...
Yeah, and the White Fang working together with that, because I guarantee you they'd go down in that hole, see the giant White Fang flags posted on the goddamn every single piece of machinery there. And no, there are two things you cannot convince me. One is that the flying stadium was not completely idiotic from the ground up. And yes, I am counting the ground up to... That is how stupid it is. It is so stupid, its stupidity is bigger than it is. And the Breach was just... made no sense.
Yeah.
Even from the sense of, oh, we did it to incite panic, still makes no sense. See, the thing that should incite panic should not be able to be stopped by 12 kids.
Yeah.
In XCOM Enemy Within and Enemy Unknown, there's terror missions where basically the aliens go down and you have to go and find people, civilians, and stop the aliens from killing them. You can't save them all just on the basis of the aliens are a lot closer and, you know...
You're fighting at the disadvantage.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. If you're really good, you can go through a terror mission which is supposed to increase the amount of terror across the globe. You can actually do so well in a terror mission that the terror level in that nation and all the others goes down. Basically, you took the aliens' victory and them saying...
You showed how badass you were, so everyone was, like, more relieved. You know?
Yeah. That's basically what the Breach was. It was... We sucked so badly at this attack that we managed to make the world safer when we...
I mean, granted, that's how people are acting at the beginning of Season 3. Apart from that fleet, everyone else is like, hey, tournament, everything's fine. Doo-doo-doo.
I hope every one of Cinder's entourage dies. And I hope Cinder dies screaming.
We may yet get around to that. Could mean the end of the show, but, well, Salem, too, is out there. We could kill them both. Who knows?
Huh?
We don't generally kill people on this show, though.
Yeah, you know, except for Roman or Pyrrha.
No, I mean, we, the heroes. Like, generally, you know, one of the narrative advantages of Grimm is that, like, hey, look, an enemy with no soul. You can kill it without feeling any bad at all in any way. But maybe they're building up Cinder to the
really? Because I would feel the same way about stabbing Adam to death.
Well, nobody has tried. Nobody has succeeded at that yet. It's not that kind of show thus far, but...
Well, yeah, he's only showed up once.
Okay, but we haven't stabbed... Like, we didn't kill Roman or whatever. I'm just saying. We generally don't kill sentient creatures.
Yeah, that was before this season, though, when they decided to ramp up the darkness.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
Okay, so... Don't know what I'd change about this season, aside from... Just put the stadium on the ground where it doesn't like consume lives.
Give Pyrrha more characterization before she dies.
In earlier seasons, so that's...
In earlier seasons, you have to go back in time. Hint at the Silver Eyes thing. If that's going to show up, you got to build it a little. You got to give me something.
Not just have Ozpin mention, oh, you have Silver Eyes in his first appearance.
Yeah, that was... I mean, I guess that counted a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, do you remember Harry Potter 4?
Yes.
Right? Spoilers, people somehow haven't read those books.
Over a decade ago, I think we're good.
And so he ends up dueling Voldemort, and it turns out, aha, because your wand is Voldemort's brother, then the two wands cannot kill each other, because that's a rule we never told you about in 4 books. And I'm like... I mean, at the time, I thought it was awesome. Looking back, you're like, that was a little Deus Ex Machina there, Harry.
Oh, they kind of foreshadowed a little bit. I mean, they mentioned the connections a few times before that.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between foreshadowing a connection and foreshadowing Voldemort and Harry's wands create a giant magical net of energy that connect them and make them incapable of killing each other.
And which also bring back ghostly apparitions of Harry's parents so they can encourage him for a bit.
See, this is why Harry Potter should have just Harry should have had, okay, I have my wand and my Walter PPK.
Bang! That would have made for a different series, yeah.
I know, right? So, next season, here's what I'm really hoping. Star Trek. Star Trek had a problem. if you've watched Star Trek, you've heard of this episode called The Best of Both Worlds. It's probably the single most famous cliffhanger in science fiction history. It's also been a repeated problem for Star Trek because even though it was awesome, it was a two-parter where one part was at the end of one season and the other was at the beginning of another. This meant that, well, the second part was written...
They hadn't planned out the two-parter in advance.
They wrote the first part, and then they said someone else can write the second part. They did a really amazing job, but part of it was that they weren't sure if Patrick Stewart was going to come back to renew his contract.
Oh, was that
so they wanted an out in case. But still, it was really good. The problem was they kept on doing this and doing this.
I mean, I liked Worf's two-parter that came later on, right? Or what was that
some of them were written by the same people, but others were not.
Yeah.
So it became the Trek policy to set up an impossible scenario, and this was more evident in the Voyager and Enterprise era of the show.
Those other shows are where you really see it.
Yeah. Set up an impossible scenario, no way out, and then say, someone else figure out how to do that. I'm really hoping that's not what they're going to be doing with Team RWBY, because that feels like what they've done. The school's obliterated, Grimm are moving into Vale, everyone's fucked, everyone's scattered to the four corners of the Earth. Fix it. And you can't have Team RWBY not be in the action, because they're literally the title characters.
Yeah. No, they're gonna have to juggle then, aren't they? They're going to tell you Yang, Weiss, Blake's, and Ruby's story independently. And remember, Ruby's story's now got 3 other people in it.
Yeah, and as we've established when I was talking about Pyrrha, they're not good at that.
It's difficult, you know? It is difficult to juggle.
I didn't say that it wasn't. It is difficult.
Yeah.
They're just not good at it.
I guess we can only wait and see.
Look, I mentioned before, this is a story where I was convinced that the two main characters of it were the cat girl and the doofus.
Yeah.
And not the character who shares her name with the show.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with it.
Yeah. Also, I totally ship John and Blake. Totally side, but I ship them.
Huh. Had not thought of that. Okay.
Yeah. But, so, yeah, I'm shouting out to Coeur Al Aran. He's on fanfiction.net. He honestly has some of the best RWBY fanfictions I've ever seen. Granted, that's not really that high of a list. Still, One Good Turn, John Blake romance, but done realistically, meaning that even though they hadn't really interacted pretty much at all over the course of the series, he shows logical reasons why, as humans, people interacting, they would develop a relationship. Professor Ark, which I'm actually partially involved in to a small degree.
Oh.
I'll get into that. Basically, the story is, for that one is, when John faked his way into Beacon, his transcripts were too good.
Okay.
So instead, he said, yes, I'm from this school that was destroyed by a Grimm attack, so I'm like, I know I'm 3 years older, making the hand gestures there.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually from a destroyed school. He's just trying to fake his way into the school. Can I just join with the first years? Ozpin decides, no, you're too skilled to waste in the first year classes. We're making you a teacher. He does actually give him a position that would be suited for him, student counselor, which is basically, he's the staff psychologist, which is a pretty interesting aspect of RWBY that isn't really touched on a whole lot.
Yeah, a lot of fighting shows skip over the psychology aspect.
Which I'm actually writing 2 spin-off stories for that, with his permission.
Yeah, maybe links in the description, folks. Go check.
Yeah, the first is Professor Ark Omakes. What?
Well, omake in Japanese. A lot of Americans say omake, though.
Whatever. But it's basically non-canon side stories to the main story where basically I just get to be really silly with the characters.
Fun.
Like, for example, one of them, I wrote John, instead of faking that he was a normal person, he was faking that he was a human. And no, you're probably thinking, oh, so he's a faunus. No, he's a bear. He's a grizzly bear. And just absolutely no one recognizes it except for Blake.
Oh, it's like Octodad or something.
No, it's like Chicken Boo, man.
It's like Chicken Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
That sounds fun.
Yeah. The other is what I call climbing uphill, which is Blake and John romance. Again.
Fine stuff.
Look, he does it really well, but he's openly admitted that he's willing to do other stuff too.
Mm.
But it's Blake and John romance within the Professor Arc universe. You know, I won't spoil anything, so just go read it, please. Anyways, so then another one is From Beyond, where John... Remember how in season 1, Pyrrha decided to help John land by throwing a spear at him?
God, did he get speared in this version? Is he dead now? What?
He's a ghost.
Oh, he's a ghost. Okay.
Well,
I was like, how
still
can it
dead.
be funny if he's dead?
Still
he's a
dead,
ghost.
is
Okay.
stuck with Blake. You know, basically he's really annoying to her. But like, it changes canon a bit. A lot, actually.
A lot.
Okay, so... And then there's Stress Relief, which is... Cinder basically seduces John for use as... Basically a...
Sex buddy.
Yeah, but one without, like, you know, strings or anything.
Right.
You know, basically, it's me... Someone... She gets stressed out, so some days she just wants, you know, to scratch that itch, so to speak.
I'm pretty sure that's what sex buddies means. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has become much more unpopular ever since season 3 ending.
No, I like... You phrased that, I'm sure, intending to mean the story has become less popular. But I like to think what you were trying to say is the entire concept of sex buddies has become less popular because of this story, because of season 3.
Season 3 was so bad, it made people hate sex. How badly do you have to fuck up to do that?
No, that reminds us of... remember the Logan's Run review? We were like, it was the orgy scene where I really just thought this is a boring movie.
Yes! Okay, so yeah, shout out to Coeur. He's awesome. You should go look him up. He also does writing classes. He has a Patreon. If you sponsor him, he'll send you messages and stuff like here's how to write a romance story. Because he is a professional writer.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's he normally write for? If you said the Patreon
Magazines.
For magazines. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not like, you know, I haven't really asked because I don't like to pry into people's personal lives.
Yeah, well, he does a lot of writing and he's good at it. So
yeah, so you can find links to him and his store to him in the description, as well as links to the stories I mentioned in the description, if you're interested. Well, actually, just to my fanfiction page.
Or to whatever we might feel like linking. I might just put a dozen random links down there. Go find out if I did so.
At least 6 cat videos.
I've actually got a portal thing I could share, maybe. Anyway.
Now you're thinking with portals.
Yep, something like that.
Okay, so season 3 of RWBY just...
Pretty good, you know.
It was very good. Bunch of problems. But, you know, it's RWBY. This was a vast improvement over season 1, where literally everyone who didn't have a speaking role was a black silhouette.
Yeah.
And I literally thought that the school was infested by human-shaped Grim.
Yeah, no, and we should make a mention, too, for Monty Ohm. It's so sad that we've lost him, but somehow they have continued, you know, at least what I've imagined, what he would have done. You know, he had a mentor. He was mentoring other people or something that have carried on in his work. So
yeah, you know, we're sorry to his family.
Yeah, hopefully that's they're glad to see the show ongoing because they know that's what he would have wanted. Yeah, you know.
He was actually supposed to play Crow.
Was he?
Yeah.
Aww.
And he was the voice of Ren. I don't know who does the new voice, but I'm hoping someone does a new voice. Or he decided, Monty decided to record all the stuff before he died.
Yeah, I never know.
Honestly, it would not surprise me.
Yeah, he's a very hard worker, wasn't
Monty,
he? Yeah.
The best quote I've ever heard to describe Monty is, there's 2 types of people who are upset that Monty is dead. The first are his fans who are upset to see his vast body of work never coming to fruition. The second is Monty himself, because this is so going to cut into his productivity time.
Yeah.
Yeah. His videos, pretty much from beginning to end of his career, have awesome fight scenes. Haloid, Dead Fantasy Part 1 through 6.
I know, it went on forever.
Yeah, plus what is widely regarded by many as the best fight scene in Red vs. Blue, where Tex fights the Reds and most of the Blues, and kicks their asses.
Yeah.
He punches Griff in the nuts a lot.
Yeah, a lot. You're very, very skilled at that.
You can ask, why do you hate my balls at one point? No, that was Spoonie. My bad.
Oh.
Yeah, seasons 8 and 9, 8 through. Just watch the second half of Red versus Blue is my personal favorite of the series. Because the Blood Gulch Chronicles were good, but I liked the ongoing developing story and the darker directions they took it in.
I haven't seen most of the Beyond Blood Gulch stuff. So I have a lot of catching up to do if I get.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it. You said you stopped at one point because they were saying Church was an AI and stuff.
Well, I didn't stop because of that. I thought that was all they had made up to that point. Maybe it was. I forget exactly what year it was. I happened to see that. I thought that was like the season ender, and it wasn't.
Oh yeah. By the way, Ruby's dad, that's Bernie, aka Church.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Welcome back, Church.
Yeah. Yeah, they took Church in an interesting direction after Blood Gulch.
Unfortunately, I can't comment very much on it because I've missed most of it. But
yeah.
I assume it was an interesting direction.
Yes. Wow, it was.
Okay.
But it got really exciting once they started with the Freelancer saga, which was exploring the backstory of the Freelancer project and how everything went, to horrible, horrible shit. First off, most of it was done with the CG stuff. More so than the video game stuff already was. But like independently animated CGI stuff. Including Monty doing awesome fight scenes, because that's pretty much the thing he is awesome at. The second thing was, they got someone to play the bad guy. Elijah Wood.
Woo!
Yes. They got Frodo Baggins to play the bad guy.
Have you seen him in Sin City? He was a bad guy there too. And it was crazy as hell.
Sin City kind of hits all of the things I go nope over.
Okay. Anyway.
Aside from the guy who looks like crap, who's just like, I love my Goldie. She's like a whore.
I like that guy.
I like that guy. He murders people, but he's like,
he's a good guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Totally random shout out or review or recommendation for the show, the anime Wandering Sun is like 12 or 13 episodes long, and I saw it on Crunchyroll recently, and it's totally different from all the tone we've just been talking about. It's not a comedy show. It's not bleak and dreary. It's actually
really
sweet and kind of introspective. So go watch that if you're open-minded to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd make another recommendation, but honestly, we've been going on for a while.
Yeah, over an hour and a half.
I'd like to save my review of Gate, thus the JSDF for later.
Yeah.
And I actually forgot to send you that link too.
Oh, well, that's okay. We'll figure something out.
Okay. Well, yeah, because they have season 2 up now.
Okay. I've not seen it yet, but we'll see.
Yep.
We'll get around to it.
Okay.
And I might watch Jupiter Ascending if Matt remembers that he told me to watch Jupiter Ascending.
God.
If we can stand it.
Look, there's not many forms of fiction that I say, yeah, Galactus can have the Earth. But, wow, Jupiter Ascending made me do it.
Wipe out this particular part of my history. It's okay by me.
Yep. But, okay, so that was RWBY Season 3. Wow. And we're waiting for Season 4. Here's hoping it's less depressing.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess we're done?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm Sithking.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're signing off.